talking about?
Babies. There are people in our age group that have had an explosion of grandchildren lately.
I know.
I don't have.
Me either. Me either. I'm happy with one now.
Mine are done exploding. But I have a great nephew coming.
They're so fun to hold when they're little.
And they grow up too.
So, it is, what day is it? Thursday, April 8th. Thank you, Catherine. So, heading along, let's do some yoga, gentle yoga. So, if you're in the chair, I'm going to start in the chair today. You don't have to if you're at home. You can sit on the floor. A lot of people here are on the floor, so you can stretch your legs out if you're on the floor or sit cross-legged, but get comfortable. And if you need to sit up on blankets, do it so that you feel good in your hips. But start to close your eyes, and if you need to shift around a little bit to feel really they're equal between your sitting bones do. You might even find your sitting bone by shifting a little bit side to side. And then once you lengthen up, think about bringing length to the back of your neck and your throat. So you're not lifting your chin up and shortening the back of your neck, right? But you feel that sense of the crown of the head reaching directly up. And then close your eyes and let your hands find a comfortable place to rest. And just enjoy feeling and watching your breath coming in and going out through your nose. See if you can feel the breath come into your belly, feeling your belly expand a little bit as you breathe in. Let your next exhale, bring your hands to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your heart. And let's inhale the hands right up through the midline. Now only go as high up as feels good for your shoulders. And then when you exhale, let the hands come right back down to be in front of your chest. So we'll inhale the hands up through the midline and just keep them together if you can. And then when you exhale, let them just come on right back down. So just moving this way with your own breath for a couple of breaths. Just feeling the shoulders, the arms, letting yourself just feel that easy movement with the breath. Good. And then the next time that you come back down to have your hands in front of your chest, let yourself stay there. Release there into lengthening upward. And then let's unfold our arms on down beside us and let your hands circle a little bit here. So you can circle one direction and stop and go the other. Let yourself open and close into fists a couple of times too so that you feel your fingers, your hands, wiggle your fingers a little bit. And then let's start to move into the torso. So let yourself start to circle your torso. So with your breath, letting your exhalations bring you forward. And then you inhale when you come back, and then let the exhale bring you forward on the other side. So you're continuing the circle in the same direction. Just really being mindful of letting yourself feel like the breath is what's moving you, really. And we are going to stop in reverse direction, so that depends on where you like to stop, and coming in the other direction when you're ready. Just easily feeling like that breath is allowing you to make these circles. And they can stay small, they can get bigger and bigger if you like. Letting yourself finish the one you're on so you can come back to sit up nice and tall. Let's let our hands come on out beside us here now. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now clasp your hands behind you. So if you're in your chair, you might need to come a little bit forward. And now see if you can just let yourself come forward and back with your breath. So letting your exhales bring you forward and your inhales bring you back. And it might be only an inch or two, right? Keeping the length of the spine. You don't have to go far. You can go farther if you choose. And then the next time you come back upright, let yourself stay there. And then release your hands. Shake them on out a little bit. Now, if you're on the floor, stretch your right leg out and cross your left ankle either above or below your knee. So if you're in your chair, you'll come into keeping that right foot on the floor and crossing your left ankle there. And then take your time. Really flex through this foot, this left foot here, and aim to come a little bit forward. If it helps to put your hand on the ball of your foot, you can. You can actually press the ball of your foot into your hand. So you're engaging into that hip as you come forward. So just be mindful. Let yourself enjoy feeling that left hip opening up a little bit there. Feeling release down with your shoulders, so you're not tensing the shoulders up, but you're letting them release down. Good. One more breath here. And then we'll come on back up to sitting. We're going to take a nice inhale here. And on the exhale, twist to your left. So your right hand can come all the way over to that left knee if that feels good, or you can put it more like on your shin. How deep you take that twist is up to you. But just enjoy, lengthen up through the crown of the head. Let yourself again feel your shoulders releasing down. Good. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center. We're going all the way into the other direction with that twist. So feel your sitting bones drawing down. One more inhale. And let your exhale bring you back into center again. Good. And we're going to switch legs. So coming into stretching the left leg out if you're on the floor, of course, and then crossing your right ankle above or below your knee. Depends on you. And then again, if you can think about really almost coming forward from your low back so that you keep that length of the spine. And again, if it feels good to put your left hand there onto your foot, you can push the ball of the foot into your hand. So take your time. Doesn't mean you have to put your hand on your foot. You know that. Just be mindful. Let yourself enjoy. Opening up now a little more into the right hip. Being with your breath. And we're going to slowly now come on back upright again. Inhaling here at center. And on the exhale, let's twist to our right. So again, you can bring your left hand where you want, to your shin, to your knee. Let that right arm come behind you. Let yourself lengthen up. So try not to lean back onto that right hand back there if you're on the floor. Really feel like your spine is doing the work of twisting here in the middle. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center. We're going all the way into the other direction. So again, just enjoy drawing your sitting bones down, finding that twist, feeling like you're waking up your spine here. One more inhale. And let your exhale draw you back around into center. And let's uncross our legs here now. And you can stretch your legs out if you're on the floor, move through your feet and your ankles, and in your chair, same thing. Just let yourself circle a little bit. Good. And we're going to come on around towards either hands and knees, or if you don't want to be on your knees, use your chair or put a blanket underneath your knees so that you have comfort for your knees. And the other thing is comfort for your hands, right? So if your wrists are bothering you, you need to be on your fists, do it. You can hold the edge of the seat of your chair, which takes that wrist crease out, you know, or you can come down to your forearms. If you're absolutely like you feel really uncomfortable up on your hands, come down to your forearms and let yourself start to move through your cat-cow. And just be real playful with your cat-cow here. See if you can just really enjoy feeling the tailbone start the action, and then you just keep progressing up your spine with your awareness, whether you're moving into your cat or your cow. And if you like to stay in cat or cow, stay in cat or cow, right? Stay without moving for a couple of breaths and just let the pose deepen a little bit if that feels good. Good. And finish off the one you're on or that you're moving into. And we'll come back to more neutral spine here. Let's bring our left foot forward and our right foot back and come into a lunge. Now, how long of a lunge you take is totally up to you. Get that front knee aligned now so that it's not bent out beyond your ankle, and see if you can let yourself engage a little more, pressing your feet gently away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Good. And let's switch legs. So coming to the other side. And again, remembering that you don't want to line your feet up like you're on a tightrope. You want to have a little space the wide way between your feet so that you feel good up into your hips. And just enjoy. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Feel the back of that left leg really opening up all the way behind the knee, down the calf. One more breath. And we're going to switch legs again. So take your time again. Press your feet gently away from each other. If you like to lift up your left hand or forearm up to your thigh, you can. You don't need to, but if it feels good to put a little more into your legs, do. And then bring that left hand down and straighten the left knee out so that you extend your torso out over that front leg. Just coming into both legs straighter and really getting a little deeper into the back of both legs now. And then bend the left knee again. Come back into your lunge. And we'll step forward or switch legs again. Sorry, however you want to switch. Doesn't matter how. So find your lunge at first and really get into finding that bend of that front knee no farther forward than your ankle. And again, if you like to lift up your right hand or your forearm up to your thigh, you can. And just putting a little more into the legs. Good. And then bring the hand back down again, and we're going to straighten the front knee out. And again, let your left heel descend back, and your heel might be on the floor, it might not, but you're getting deeper into the back of both legs now. Think of extending your torso out. Think of a nice flat back here if you can. So it's almost like your heart melts down a little bit so that you come into really lengthening through the spine. We're going to bend the front knee again. And this time we will step forward and come into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Use whatever support you want underneath your hands or your forearms. And then see if you can. Just lift your heels up and come onto the balls of your feet. You have your hands or something grounded somewhere, right? And then bring your heels down and lift just your toes up. You can have your knees bent. And then come down with the toes, lift the heels up again. And again, you can straighten your legs out or you can have your knees bent here. And then bring your heels back down and lift just your toes up. And then try to spread your toes out a little bit. Feel how your fingers want to help too. And then let yourself release your toes on back down to the ground and come on into your forward bend now. Feel the weight of your head. You all know that if it bothers you to let your head hang, you want to keep your head in line with your spine, back of your head in line with your spine. But if you're able to let your head hang, do. And then just come into watching those breaths now. expanding the ribs in all directions as you breathe in. Nice, full, deep inhales and nice, long exhales. Good. One more breath here. And then we'll bring our hands right to our hips and bend our knees and come on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. So adjust your way however you need to get in the mountain. If you need to walk a little bit or kind of let yourself find your feet under you, right? So about hips distance apart for most of us is kind of lining our hip pointer bones up with the center of our feet. And let yourself get comfortable though. Base through your feet. Let your arms come down and then just let your arms hang naturally for a second. Now, everybody's arms carry different, so it doesn't really matter. It has to do with how you're built. So your palms might face towards your legs. They might face backward. Some people's palms naturally face forward, right? So it's the carriage of your arms is all different. But just let your arms hang and get that sense of stacking yourself up. So hips over ankles, shoulders over hips. Feel the feet equal in the floor. And then let your elbows bend and bring your hands gently to meet right there in front of your chest, in front of your heart. Coming into feeling that ease of your mountain pose. So, mountain pose, very basic pose. Actually, in a way, it's kind of the easiest and the hardest at the same time, right? Simply standing. But standing in alignment where it feels really rather effortless to be there. And then we'll release our arms on down, right down beside us. And let's inhale the arms out and up overhead. Come into a wide V. Turn your palms to face each other. And then at the end, let your pinkies turn in a little more. Feel what happens when you do that. So you feel when the pinkies come forward and then towards each other that the shoulders really melt down. And you do get that sense of your arms are growing out of your back. If you feel good to look up when you inhale, you can rise your gaze on up. And then as you exhale, bend your knees and come on forward into your standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find a nice flat back. And we're going to step our right foot back to come into lunge. Draw our shoulders down away from our ears. Enjoy coming into that lunge. And we'll find our downward facing dog pose from here. So you know your hands can be on a chair, they can be on the blocks, they can be on the floor. Take your time. Feel that sense of where you can be for your own shoulders. Your elbows are hugging in. Endeavoring to think about your ears being there by your upper arms. But not everybody's shoulders will do that. So, you can adjust to where you feel good in your shoulders. And then we'll come on out towards a plank. And totally up to you whether you do a full plank or not. You can come to your forearms if you're on the floor. You can put your knees down if you're on the floor and do a half plank. But just enjoy, really feel that sense of your sitting bones reaching down for your heels and your belly engaging. If you like to bend your elbows, you can. You can do little push-ups if you choose. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose from here. Walk your dog a little bit, bend a knee at a time, or bend both knees at the same time if that feels better for you. Sometimes finding length in the spine, bending the knees really helps. And we'll bring our right foot forward to find lunge from here. So however you need to get there into that lunge. And find your whole body in your lunge here. So think about your head being in line with your spine. And we'll step forward and come back into standing forward bend again. So again, whatever supports you like to use, whether you like to bring your hands to blocks or a chair or elbows above your knees, or maybe some of you just want to hold your elbows and let that full weight of your torso allow you to open up through the backs of your legs. So breathing again into the ribs expanding. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, and we're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms down beside us and then clasp our hands behind us. And see if you can bend your elbows and squeeze your palms together for a second. So you really feel your biceps engaging. You feel it up into your shoulders. If this hurts your shoulder, don't do it. And then if you can, bring your hands to the right and fold your left forearm onto your low back. And then from there, if you can squeeze your right palm back into your left one, do that again. And squeeze your fingers together too. And then come back through center with the hands, and we're going to go the other side. So you fold the right forearm onto the low back, and if you can squeeze and push that left palm kind of into the right and feel your fingers really squeezing into. So you're really waking up your hands all the way up through your arms, into your shoulders, on your wrists. And then we'll release and bring the hands on back down. And then from here, let the hands slide down long so that your arms are longer. And then tilt your head a little bit to the right. And then come on back up and tilt your head just a little to the left. And then come on back up. Take a nice inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to bend the knees and fold forward. Now you can stop parallel to the floor so that you don't go that far, keeping the length of your spine. Or you can fold more and more forward over your legs depending on you. Now whether your arms want to release off your back is up to you and your shoulders. So just take it where you can go. One more breath. And then let your hands come on back down. Let them come all the way down so that you can inhale and find a long back. Use your hands to support you wherever you want. A chair, your legs, the blocks. And we're going to step our left foot back and come into lunge. Now draw the shoulders down. Find your whole body there in your lunge. And inhale. Exhale into downward facing dog pose. So again, it is totally up to you. If your hands are on the blocks, your heels might be on the floor, right? It depends on how far back you stepped, but you want to focus on the length of the spine here. Now you can feel that down dog definitely creates space in the spine, but it also stretches the backs of your legs, right? And we'll come on out towards plank. And then you are totally optional what you do here. So you can stay in your plank or do little push-ups. So be really mindful. Just let yourself just start to really become aware if you come into the plank of the core body here. And then we'll come on back to down dog. And let's bring our left foot forward from here. So whatever you need to do to bring that left foot forward to your lunge. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend again. And let yourself go here. Release into full deep breaths. See if you can just feel that sense of the ribs expanding on the inhales. And on the exhales, just imagine the top of the head gets closer towards the ground, even if it's just imagining, right? Try to let your face go. If you feel like you're holding tension in your jaw, do what you need. I mean, you might kind of open your mouth a little bit or kind of move your mouth around. And sometimes inhaling through your nose and exhaling a couple of times through your mouth helps release the jaw too. And then we're going to bend our knees a little deeper, bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms out and up. Now this time, let your left arm come on down beside you. Reach up through the right side of the body. And we'll come over into side stretch here. So breathing into that side body. And really just enjoy. Feel the feet in the floor. And let's inhale, bring the left arm up. And as you exhale, lower the right arm down and come on into that side stretch on the other side. So breathing into the left ribs. And then we'll come on back up, both arms overhead. Let's bend our elbows. Bring our hands clasped behind our head. And then press the back of your head just gently into your hands. So you feel engaged now in the core body. Make sure you don't tuck your tailbone forward when you press into your hands, okay? A tendency might be to do this, right? But instead, reach your tailbone down towards between your heels. One more breath. And then let your arms open out into a T position here. Turn the palms down. Nice inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come forward again into our standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find a nice flat back again. And we'll walk back into down dog from here. So you place your hands the surface you like and bring yourself back into your downward facing dog pose. Do what you need to do. If you like to walk a little bit or wag your tail around a little bit, do. And then, next inhale, we'll come out towards that plank. Optional to add a back bend here. Now you can stay in your plank like we did. You can do little push-ups if you'd rather. Or you can come down to the floor or move through to an up dog or a cobra. And then coming on back into down dog. Remember, those are optional. So take your time. We're going to do that same thing again. Next inhale will bring us out to a plank. Again, it is optional to add a back bend of choice. Sphinx, cobra, up dog. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. And let's bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend again. Easy breaths. Let your head move around a little bit if that helps you find release through your neck and your face. Nice. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So enjoy. Come into that mountain pose, whether you like to keep your eyes opened or closed. Look on out like you're looking out beyond the wall towards the horizon. And then again, just let the body kind of stack itself up. Hips over ankles, shoulders over hips. More energy flowing through the body here. And again, though, it is that feeling that it's very easy to be in your mountain pose. Feel your head very like it's just floating up there on top of the spine. Nice. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms on down beside us and shake out a little bit. Move around if you need to. And we're going to come into some warriors. So if you're using your chair, you might want to turn it around. Have your blocks handy. So they're here at the front of your mat. We're going to step into warrior one first. So you can have your hands on your chair, or if you don't have a chair there, you can just step your right foot back. We're going to bring our left foot forward, our right foot back. And get the shoulders around square. So if you have your chair there, you can use it. You can have your fingertips on the chair and really honestly get your shoulders around square, right? And then just think about both feet being equal in the floor, that back foot fully grounded. And then bring your hands, if you can, to meet in front of your chest. Let yourself enjoy. Now, remember what we did at the beginning. See if you can inhale your hands up through the midline. And on the exhale, let the hands come right back down through the midline to be in front of your chest. So a little bit different story than when you're sitting on the floor or sitting in a chair, right? So trying to let yourself feel that the core of the body really is very strong here in this pose. And if you're moving your arms here like we are, you've got to really focus on the belly, the low back, and the hips. So one more time, rising the hands up through the midline, open them out into a wider V now. Turn your pinkies towards each other like we did before, so your shoulders melt down. Maybe you want to look up a little bit. Just feel that openness in your Warrior One now. With your arms wide, there's this feeling of openness in the chest. You're grounded equally through your feet. One more breath. And then we'll release our arms on down, and we're going to bring our hands down and find a lunge here. So you may want to use your blocks any height, or you might want to use your chair. Take your time here. Once you get your hands down, we're going to add a twist, bringing the left hand to the left hip and rolling that shoulder up and letting yourself either stay there with your hand down on your low back there, or if your shoulder allows you and you really like to stretch your arm up, do. So just be mindful and think about your head right now. Make sure you're not dropping your head or lifting the head up. Because you can do those two things and feel what it feels like, right? Then find that happy middle place. So one more breath. And then we'll bring the left hand on back down. And we're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. Let's bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Just a breath here. Be mindful. Good. And then we'll go ahead and release. Shake out a little bit. And we are going to do the other side, right? So this time, left foot will step back. And again, if you have your chair there, you can put your hands on it so you know that your shoulders are square around to the front of the mat. But of course, you can also feel it once you bring your hands to your heart. You can tell your shoulders are square to the front of the mat. So how long of a stance? Up to you. You can be a lot longer than I am. You can have your left foot farther back. You can have it, you can have your feet just barely 2 feet apart or more if you want. So again, really focusing on inhaling the hands up through the midline, and on the exhale, letting them come right back down through the midline to be in front of your heart. So focusing as you inhale the hands up, feeling very strong here in the pose. Exhaling, bringing them down. And then again, inhaling the hands right on up. And exhale, bringing them down. And then this last time as we inhale the hands up, we're going to separate them. And again, turn the palms towards each other and then the pinkies inward a little more. And there you are. Your arms are in a really good place. Shoulders might need you to keep your arms forward. Got to say that on the other side, but you all know that. So really enjoy feeling that lift at the base of the shoulder blades a little bit. The belly's engaged. You can feel that openness in the front of your left hip. One more breath. And we're going to release our arms on down beside us. We're going to find lunge, remember. So you bring your hands. You can be up in the back of the chair if you want. You can go down to the seat. You can go to blocks or the floor if you want. Really find your lunge. And then when you're ready, bringing that right hand to the back or the hip or the low back, and then rolling that shoulder up. So we're attempting in this twist to not drop into the left long side of the body, right? You can stretch your arm up if you want. Again, think about your head. So it's like your head is in line with the spine, right? So you're not dropping it. If you do that, you know what it feels like. It's not so good. Or lifting it, right? So find that place where it feels more in line. Good. And then we'll bring the right hand on back down. We're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath the skin. And we'll bend our knees and rise on up. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our heart. Now bend your knees a little bit. Come into just a little chair, right? You're coming a tiny bit forward with the body. The knees are just a little bent. You feel your thighs. Really feel your feet in the floor. Yeah, and if you want to go lower, if you have your chair there, you can even use your chair a little bit to give you support and act like you're about to sit back in a chair. And that's a really good exercise to do at home. Like if you have a chair that you can work on sitting down in with a firm surface and then trying to lift yourself back up off of it, right? nice work to do. You know, just play a little bit at home. You know, you're about to sit down to wait for something to get done, or in the kitchen, you kind of sit and come back up. Builds a lot of strength, a lot of work for the thighs and the hips, right? So coming on back up and move through your feet a little bit. And we're going to come into Warrior Two this time. We're going to step our right foot back and line our heels up and bend into that left knee. And remember, the back knee is attempting to be straight in Warrior Two. Now, you know, some people, it's fine to bend the back knee a little bit too, right? If you can come into straighter leg two, get that alignment of that front foot and knee. Good. And then from here, just float your arms on out. Turn your palms up for a second. And actually bend your elbows and bring your fingertips to the tops of your shoulders. Let your elbows then melt down a little bit. Oh, float them down, 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 down. And then rise them slowly back up the elbows. Unfold your arms now. And then just continuously turn them to face the palms down, reaching out through your fingertips. Feeling the feet in the floor, pressing gently away from each other. Good. We're going to turn the left palm up and inhale. Reach up towards the sky with that left hand. Your right hand can give you a little support there. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle. So you can bring your left hand or your forearm onto your thigh. Bringing that right arm up if you're okay to do that with your shoulder. So just take your time. Be mindful of that. And then we're going to come on back into Warrior Two. Really enjoy. Soften the shoulders down. Feel like you're reaching out through your fingertips. Good. We're going to bring the hands down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. And we're going to come on forward. Grab your blocks if you need them. So if your wide-legged forward bend feels better to you with your hands on blocks, by all means use them. And then moving a little bit, bending a knee at a time if that feels all right for your knees. And maybe don't rush it. Like, see if you can kind of stay on one side so you give that inner thigh time to release. And then when you're ready to come into the pose, letting yourself just watch your breath. So you want to get really comfortable. Stack blocks up if you need to. Put them underneath your forearms or your hands. Let yourself, if you need to bend your knees, put your elbows above your knees to support your back, do that. But then just follow the breaths in and out. Full, deep, even as you can breaths. Good. One more nice full breath here. And now to rise up, you know, take your time. You walk your hands out. You do what you need to come up. So if you need to let your feet come together before you rise up, do. And if you're dizzy, be really mindful, okay? So when you get ready to bring your feet together, it feels okay. Move through your feet and your ankles now. We're going to come to Warrior Two on the other side. So left foot back, right foot forward, left foot back. And again, you can use your chair there to give you a little balance. Take your time. Let your arms just hang for a second. Good. And then start to float your arms out. Turn your palms up and bend your elbows again. Let your fingertips just rest on your shoulders. And let the elbows melt down. So when you do that, feel what happens, right? Seems like it shouldn't be any big deal, but it actually kicks into your core a little bit more. Rise your elbows back up, and as you unfold your arms now, you're going to turn the palms down and start to look out over the top of that right hand. Soften the shoulders down. Feel the feet in the floor. Nice. Feet equal in the floor. And let's turn the right palm up. Let your left hand come down. Inhale, reach up towards the sky. And on your next exhale, come into that side angle. So again, it can be your right hand or your forearm, and it can be on your chair, it can be on your leg. And you can decide whether you want to add that top arm or not, right? It's fine to keep the left hand down on your hip. Think about extending out through both sides of your body if you can. That doesn't mean you need to add the arm, but if it feels good to your shoulder to do a little bit, do. One more breath. Good. We're going to come on back to warrior two. Press those feet a little away from each other to get you right back again into that core body. And then we'll bring our hands down. And we're going to turn our feet again more parallel. And we're going to ease our way forward. So again, you can bend your knees as you come into this pose and stay in the pose. You can put your elbows above your knees. So if you want to be up with your back long, do it. And take your time. If you can shift or a little bit to the right, do. Walk your hands over towards your foot, or you might just want to shift your block a little to the right. And then back through center and over to the left. And back through to center again. And then just adjust. Make sure your stance feels good, how wide you are, right? And take your time, set yourself up to be with your breath again. So if you want to use your blocks in any way, do. You know, you can have your hands between your feet, you can hold your ankles, you can walk your hands back behind you if that feels really good for you. So just be mindful. Watch those breaths in and out. Again, letting your inhales and exhales be pretty equal in length, although extending your exhale out a little bit longer if possible. Good. One more breath. Now really take your time. So as you start to think of rising up, maybe it's thinking about it first and how you want to do it, and then bringing yourself on up. And then letting your feet come on together. And move through your feet and your ankles a little bit. And we're going to bring our mats into a wall. So you can put your chair off to the side. We're going to let our mats come on in toward the wall. I'll talk to you later. Just leave everything there. It's fine. You just take your mat and don't worry about it. So grab your blocks. And we're going to come far enough away from the wall to where we can put our right foot back on the wall. So make sure it's real easy to bang your foot into the wall, just giving you fair warning. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't really tell where the wall is, put your foot up there, kind of explore a little bit. And then, you know, you can bend both your knees here in your warrior three. Your toes are facing down of that right foot. You should be able to drop your head and look back and see your right foot on the wall. That will mean it's not too high up. You know, you don't want to have to drop your body way down to see your foot. You want to be able to have your hands on the blocks and still see it. And then bend both your knees a little bit, give yourself a break, and see if you can just bring your left hand up to your left thigh. And if you can't do that, don't. You can kind of press into your thigh. You can come into longer legs if you want, straightening out a little bit, pressing into that foot back there on the wall. You can put your hand back down if you need, or you can keep your left hand up, bringing it to your chest, or stretching that left arm forward if you want a little bit more in your warrior three. And remember, if the legs don't straighten out, don't worry about it. You're still getting a nice stretch for the backs of your legs, very strengthening. One more breath. And then bring that right foot down. Now don't even think about it. Put the left foot up there without thinking about doing it. And it's a huge relief make sure your foot's back there on the wall. I mean, obviously it's back there, but make sure you look back and you can see your foot back there. Bend both your knees a little bit. And then again, if you can bring your right hand up off the block to either your thigh, or maybe you don't want to do that at all. Maybe you want to put it right back down, but if you want to practice a little bit there, you can. You can come into straighter legs, pushing into that left foot back there on the wall and imagining you're drawing it up towards the ceiling. And maybe you'll want to bring the right arm forward or keep your hand to your heart or put the hand back down on the block, right? Nice. One more breath there. And then bring that foot down. Now just for fun, we're going to put the right foot back up. And we're not going to stay very long. Get your alignment there. Have the foot on the wall. And then bring your left hand to your hip and see if you can come into a little twist. Roll that left shoulder up a little bit. And if you don't want to do that, don't do it. And then come back down with that left hand, and the right foot comes back down, and we're going to put the left foot up. So there you have it. You got alignment before. You can get it right back again. If you want to bring your right hand up to your hip, you can, and you can turn into a little twist. Wow, you guys are really strong. And then come on back down with that hand, and come down with both feet. Do what feels good for your hips. You know, you might want to put your elbows above your knees. You might want to squat all the way down. You might want to go back to the wall and squat too, right? So let yourself be easy to let your hips and your back release, right? So I actually like, doing a squat all the way down, but with the wall behind me, I think feels awesome. So, this is just not for everybody's knees and hips to do squats all the way anyway, but sometimes if you have the wall back there, you might be able to go a little deeper. Feels really good.
Just do Shavasana right now.
The wall is our friend. Okay, well, we're headed there. We're more than halfway. We're going to come on down onto our mats on our bellies on the floor. So, take your time. Bring yourself on to your belly. Stretch those feet back behind you. Let the feet point so that you're on the tops of your feet. And then let your head release onto your hands or wherever feels comfortable for you, right? And then bend your knees and let your feet circle. And circle both ways so you undo them. And then let your lower legs, if it's okay for your back, come side to side like windshield wiper blades. And then come on back up and go ahead and let your legs come long. And let's come up to our forearms and go ahead and come into a sphinx with your elbows under your shoulders. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Let it feel really good. Engage the belly. Remember, if this is too much, you can come down and come lower. Let the elbows slide down towards your waist or maybe even more overhead. And then bring your hands together, clasp them, send your pinky fingers out, and as you press down into the forearms and hands, you can lift up to the flesh above your knees for a half forearm plank. And just stay here for a second. Imagine you're trying to draw yourself towards the front of your mat, which is going to really allow the elbows to move down more, and you're actually pulling your body forward, like you're trying to pull yourself forward. One more breath. Feel how it works the belly and the low back and the hips. And then you can decide if you want to put your toes down and lift up your knees and come into that full plank or not. Do where you can. And then come on back down again. And let's release down. Bring our arms down alongside the body. Turn your palms down towards the ground and come up to your fingertips. So when you come to your fingertips and the tips of your thumbs, feel how your shoulders automatically are really drawn away from the floor. And now see if you can inhale your head and your right leg up in your chest a little bit. And then bring those back down. And go to the left leg and the head and the chest a little bit here. And then bring those back down. And now bring your hands in by your chest. Hug your elbows towards each other and inhale your head and your legs up a little bit. Your hands are just giving you a little support. It is a locust pose. Once you kind of get there, lift the hands up too. Let the hands just be like you're going to do. You got them right in front of your shoulders. Like if you put them down, you'd be doing a push-up kind of pose. And then come all the way back down. We're going to shift back towards pose of a child. Let yourself release back, hips towards the heels, and you know how deeply you go in child's pose is up to you. And if using a bolster in child's pose, I'll turn this way so you can kind of see both sides of the room. If you bring a bolster between your knees and let yourself turn your head to one side and release onto a bolster like this in child's pose, I think it feels incredibly good. That doesn't mean you will, right? So if you're like, yeah, no, that's not for me, don't do it, right? And if your hips don't shift back so far, you can still maybe do it. Your chest kind of melts down to the bolster, but your bottom might be up in the air, right? If your knees don't want to bend so deeply. So just explore. If you don't like it, don't do it. If you do, you can take a couple of breaths with your head turned one way, a few breaths, and then you'll want to release and turn your head the other way so you even yourself out. Good. So one more breath there. And then we're going to slowly come on up, and you'll just want to put your bolster back off to the side for a second. And then you're up on your knees. Come on down to your forearms again, but you're on your knees if this is okay for you, all right? And let yourself press into your forearms. Now, hug your elbows towards each other. So it's like you're doing a plank, but now your bottom's up in the air, right? Now, whether you want to come from here up into a dolphin pose is up to you. You don't have to. You can just stay here, press into your forearms, imagine your heart melting down a little bit. Or you can decide you want to lift up and find a little bit of a dolphin here. So you're still pressing into the forearms, hugging the elbows towards each other. And don't do it. If it feels like too much, don't do it. You can still keep engaging your shoulders just where you were. Good. And then we're going to release and let our knees come on back down. Shift back again just to a brief child's pose to let yourself stretch out there. And then we'll bring our hands back by our knees and we're going to press our way on up and we're going to stretch our legs on out in front of us. So take your time, stretch your legs out, let your feet be, do whatever they want, do a little foot and ankle dance here, let yourself move around a bit. And then let's just come into a classic twist. Let's bring our left leg more a little towards the midline so you can cross your right foot over, whether it goes below or above your knee, right? And then just sitting up nice and tall here. And you can use your hands on your knee or your shin there to help you lengthen up. Inhale. And on the exhale, we'll twist, bringing our right hand behind us so your left hand can come right to the outside of that right knee. You can crook your elbow around to hold the knee. You can bring your arm across if you want to the outside of that right knee. But just enjoy finding that length. So the twist really comes from the middle of the back. Remember, if you need to come out of the twist a little bit when you inhale, do it. So if you don't feel like you can breathe in deeply enough, back out of the twist a little bit when you inhale. And then maybe when you exhale, you want to travel a little bit more. One more breath. And then use your belly to bring you slowly back around into center. And we are going to switch legs. So again, the right foot is kind of to the midline of the body, so that when you bring it's easier to bring this foot across. And if this is too much, keep the foot on the inside of the leg, right? And then sit up again, nice and tall. Use your hands if you need, onto your knee or your leg, lengthening up, inhale. And on the exhale, left hand comes around behind you, and again, the right hand can draw the knee in and towards you a little bit. You can hook your elbow around the knee if it's up there close enough to you, or you can bring your arm across to the outside of that left leg. It depends on where your foot is too, whether it's below or above your knee, but just enjoy. Again, inhaling into the length of the spine. If you need to come out of the twist a little bit to do that, do it. Good. One more nice full breath here. Now again, use your belly to bring you back around. Really unwind slowly, right? And then bring your legs on out in front of you. Shake them out a little bit. And we are going to get those bolsters. And we're going to bring them on the mat. So you're turning them the long way to the mat. And I'll come around. Once you lie back, I'll come around in case anybody wants a blanket or a pillow. So if you can turn so that you can lie back on your bolster, right? And you want to get to where you've got to find the right distance, that your hips are down so that you don't feel too much, any compression in your low back, right? You don't want to be dead up against the bolster, in other words. You want maybe 4 or 5 inches so that you can feel this easy curve of the back, feels much more natural. And you can let yourself just release back there. So I'm going to start to bring blankets if anybody wants. You can keep your knees bent. Does anybody want a blanket for their head? Nobody wants a pillow? Wow. You guys, you don't want one either?
Feels good.
Okay. So try this, just to do a little bit with the arms and the shoulders. I love this exercise of letting yourself, now get your legs to where you feel good in your back to let your arms move a little bit. So if you want to put your feet on the floor, if you want to do cross legs, if you want to put your soles of the feet towards each other, you can always put your blocks, if you're in Baddha Konasana, underneath your legs to support yourself. So, if that feels like too much to let the legs hang in space, these blocks underneath can really help. Right? And when you do open your legs like that, it changes so much in the hips and the low back too. So get comfortable. And then let yourself reach your arms up towards the ceiling and turn your palms to face each other. And now feel like you're pulling your hands up higher. See how your shoulders rise up, right? And then let your arms melt back down and your shoulders melt down. So you can kind of feel the shoulder blades into the bolster as your arms, like your upper arms, kind of melt back into the sockets. And from that position, it'll feel pretty easy to open the arms out wide into a T position. Let the hands keep lowering down till the backs of your hands touch the floor. And see if you can let them touch the same time. And if you didn't, bring them back up a little bit and try to do it again. See if you can get both hands to touch at the same time. It's a lot harder than it seems. So it's okay if you didn't do it. If they didn't touch at the same time, it's okay. It doesn't mean you're off kilter or anything. But then just float your hands up about an inch or so off the floor. So they're not resting on the floor, but they almost are. And you're feeling the weight of your arms. Letting yourself, and they start to feel very heavy. See if you can just enjoy a little bit the openness across the chest here. One more breath. And then start to rise the hands up, back up towards the ceiling. So palms are still facing each other. Try to let the upper arm bones now kind of melt back again. You feel like the tips of the shoulder blades coming into the bolster. And then bring your arms overhead. So you're like reaching your arms overhead You can keep your arms straight and keep going to where the arms kind of rest on the bolster, or you can bend your elbows if you want. Let your hands come down towards the floor. I even like to clasp my hands and let my elbows bend and let that feel really good there. So that is up to you, and everybody's shoulders are different. So you be where you can, letting the chest open here. Good, one more breath. And now bring yourself back up with the arms, back up overhead again so the hands are reaching towards the ceiling. And then one more time, open the arms back down so that they're straight out into that T position. And rest the backs of your hands on the floor. Maybe lower them down a little bit though, right? So instead of being straight out from your shoulders, now feel what your shoulders do when you bring them down, kind of halfway between all the way to the mat and where they were, right? And rest with the backs of the hands on the floor. And now, if you can, if you're really uncomfortable in this, you need to come out of it, okay? And you can change your legs. Change how you have your legs if you're really uncomfortable too, because that'll change how your back feels as well. But see if you can come into some 3-part breaths. Inhaling into your belly, and then into your ribs, and then all the way up into your chest. And you can really feel the breath as you exhale coming out of your chest first, and then your ribs, and then your belly. So this supported back bend is really a beautiful way to feel those 3-part breaths. But don't force it, and if you feel like that's too much, just be with your breath, however your breath wants to come in and out. Good. So again, you don't want to be uncomfortable, but if you can stay here for another minute or two, if you're like, that is totally out of the question, then by all means you can always kind of roll to your side, take your bolster out, and come to the floor, right? Good. Now, half of the fun of this is seeing how you feel when you do come off of the bolster. However, if you're like so comfortable that you would rather stay here for Shavasana, you are more than welcome to. To come off, it's kind of tricky, but you need to kind of bring your feet to the floor and then kind of roll to one side, and then just move your bolster out of the way if you're coming off of it, and let yourself come back to lie flat. Well, keep your feet on the floor, not totally flat, so that you can just appreciate how you feel, both in the front and the back of your body. And if you still want to stay a little bit, do. And again, you can stay throughout Shavasana if you choose. I'm starting to get some light, so you have plenty of time to adjust to do what feels good. since everybody has a bolster, you can use it how you like. So if you decided you need to come down and you want to bring the bolster under your knees, you can. If you feel comfortable to stay there on your bolster for Shavasana. If you start to feel like you're fighting it a little bit during Shavasana, then by all means, just roll over, take it out, and lie back down, yeah? But just be easy. Let yourself really enjoy finding your breath, watching the breath coming in and going out. Giving your body and your brain time to find those little quiet places and letting yourself completely and fully relax. start to move your fingers, your toes, bring your knees up and in, and just be mindful, be really gradual about how you come back, especially if you are still on that bolster, okay? You know, rolling to your side, and if you'd like to stay on your side, you can. You can really be mindful about giving yourself time to come up to sitting so that you don't feel like you're rushed. Actually, just imagine you have all the time in the world so that you can easily rearrange to sit comfortably. Once you do get up, you can let your eyes be closed so you're staying really inwardly focused. Feel how your back feels as you lengthen up through the top of your head. Let yourself just enjoy feeling open in your back and your front body. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.